thought you looked familiar. I used to work with Susie.
Oh yeah, totally. Okay, yeah, right on. So, there you go. So again, the idea is that what I want to think about is the idea is, can I do better? Right? Can I changing my food habits, improving a little bit at a time. What we're going to talk about is the idea of changing habits and how to change habits, how I've learned to change my habits. And mostly we're going to talk about today around eating and cooking good food, because eating good food is really important to me. It's got to taste good. That's a really big part of what food is for me, the food experience for me. There's a story my dad still tells. When I was a kid, because I grew up on the East Coast, my dad would travel a lot for work, and sometimes he'd come out to California, and in the summer he'd take me out and I'd fly out, or we'd spend the time going around to national parks and stuff. And I remember one time we were driving, I think it was through the Central Valley, and we stopped at like a farm stand. It was like early in the morning. We got these peaches and these nectarines like I'd never seen before. I didn't even know they were enormous. They were like the size of like a huge orange, and they were so good. And I remember my dad still talks about the look on my face when I bit into one of these, because it was like so sweet. I didn't know fruit tasted like that. Fruit tasted like when it came from the grocery store. So that was like the first sort of memory I had of like really like food being different and where food came from. And then fast forward to when I moved to Southern California about 7 years ago. I started going to farmers markets and started asking farmers about these weird things that they were growing that I'd never seen before. And I started growing tomatoes on my balcony. I live in California, right? It's got to have a lot of sun. So I went to like the hardware store, like Home Depot, bought a little pack, like 6 tomatoes, right? And I put them all in one pot because they're so little, right? You know, they're not going to grow that big. And of course they started getting huge and having to put them in different pots and getting tomato cages and all this stuff. But it was fun. Like, it was cool learning this, and then tasting a tomato that you've grown, right? There's nothing like that. It's so much better, and it's just really cool. We're going to talk about growing your own food as one of the points. So the idea is, like, sometimes it feels like we need to make a choice between eating healthily and sustainably or not spending a lot of money. I don't make very much money, and I've found it's possible to do both. It just takes changing those habits a little bit at a time and doing when they make sense for you. Because with food, right, there's a lot of factors, right? What's the factor that goes into when you shop for food, thinking about sustainability and all this stuff? Like, what's a factor that comes across your mind when you're buying?
Food miles.
Food mile, like how far? Okay, so how is it local, right? You know, where it comes from. What's another thing? Packaging, right? What's in it? Right? Okay. What else?
It's organic or not.
Organic or not. Price is that's probably the number one thing for me. I think, how much is this going to cost, right? Okay. Flavor, like what is this going to taste like? Sometimes if I splurge on something, like, I'm going to go get this really good piece of meat or vegetable or whatever it is, it's really good cheese, right? And it doesn't taste very good. I feel like I got ripped off, right? Because the flavor isn't there. Who cares where it came from? Who made it? Like, it sucks, right? You know. Perishability, how long is it going to last, right? Is it going to go bad before I can use it all? Things like that. Availability, right? When I'm buying, strawberries in December, it's like they're usually going to cost more. Why is that? Because they're not in season. They're getting from somewhere far away, right? So thinking about that kind of thing. Right, the ingredients. What's in something, right? I look at what's in it. Like, is it something I want to eat, something I not want to eat, something I've heard of, I haven't heard of? So these are all the factors. There's so many that go into it, and like the idea of the effort to be sustainable in our eating needs to be sustainable in itself. Like the idea that don't let the perfect be the enemy of the good. Like, so a lot of times, like, this is getting into our first point. You gotta improve a little bit at a time. Like, I feel bad sometimes when I like forget my cloth bags going to the store. I'm like running in there, I'm like trying to carry everything out. It's like, I don't need to feel bad about that. I can use a paper bag. Like, I can reuse that paper bag. Might recycle it, right? You don't need to get down on yourself. That's something I do a lot. Like, I try to be perfect, and I'm not, right? But I try to improve a little bit more each time. Buying bananas, right? 99 out of 100 bananas, right, aren't grown in San Diego, right? They're coming from far away. Man, bananas are good. I love putting them in smoothies, right? And I don't want to feel bad about that, right? I need to get things, right? I drink tea. Tea is not from anywhere close to here, right? If you drink coffee, coffee isn't from anywhere close to here, right? That's okay, right? That's you don't want to feel bad about that. You want to feel good about the things that you are doing and how you're improving. And that idea is, can I do better today, right? Can I improve on what I did last week, what I did last year? The idea is like I rarely shop at Whole Foods or Trader Joe's. I can't afford it. Like occasionally I might go in there for like one thing, or if like my mom's in town, right, and she's like buying groceries, then I get something nice, splurge. But like I generally can't afford that, and the same reason I don't go to like Vons, Albertsons, or I don't go to like big grocery stores either, because I usually can't afford those, because a lot of this stuff there is stuff that's cheap there, it's just not the stuff that I'm buying. When I look at coupons, it's not the stuff that I'm buying. It's for all the stuff in the middle of the grocery store, right? And I'm shopping on the ends. That's sort of like that common idea is like the stuff on the outside is the fruits and vegetables, right? Bread, meat and cheeses, right? Those are the things that's what I eat. I don't eat a lot of packaged goods, so the regular grocery stores are still really expensive for me. I shop at like here at North Park Produce, which is right up on El Cajon Boulevard. I buy stuff there. It's usually really cheap. They actually are starting to carry some organic dairy, which is really nice. And I also shop at People's Co-op in OB, which is definitely more expensive. But the things I buy there, it's for a choice. There are certain when I eat dairy, I like to have organic dairy because that's important to me. So with that, they have those options there. And then other things I buy in bulk. And sometimes I'll go to Henry's and buy stuff in bulk, right? But I can get organic flour at People's, and it really isn't that much more expensive when I'm buying it in a bulk container. Because the idea is, right? There's certain things that are important to me, and those are the things that I want to champion in the way I eat. Right? That's you might have different things that you care about. So this idea, if tomorrow you can improve on what you did today, right? On how you eat, what your trash consumption rate is, right? Thinking about all those factors, then you're going to improve over time, because just like the idea of you want to lose weight, right? You want to lose 30 pounds, right? Well, I'm not going to lose that overnight, right? If I lose 2 pounds this week, 2 pounds next week, 2 pounds a week out, right? It's 8 pounds this month, right? And then maybe in 4 months I've lost those 30 pounds, right? You're not going to do it all at once. And the other way I think about this is in 2 weeks I'm going to go visit my niece, like a baby 8-month-old niece, and I haven't seen her in 2 months. And of course, I've seen pictures and stuff, which is great, but when I see her, she's going to be more alert than what I've seen her before, and she's might even be crawling and all these other cool things that I haven't seen. But the idea is she didn't change overnight, right? She's changed in little pieces over the course of the last 2 months since I've last seen her. So it's the idea, if we make little changes, we'll have, right, great changes. The difference with hers aren't conscious, right? She just does it because she's developing. We have to be conscious of the decisions we're making, but again, don't worry about being perfect. If you go to somebody's house, right, and they're serving something that, like non-organic, I used to feel weird about, like, oh, where are these coming from? It's like, no, somebody's making me a meal. That's really nice, and sort of get over yourself. That's what I have to find myself, is get past myself. If 80% of the time I'm eating the way I want to be eating the food that I want to be eating, where it's from, that's pretty good. Like that 80-20 rule, like that's a good way to think about it. So when you're at the store, what can I think about? Can I afford organic milk this week? Maybe you can't, right? Okay, well, can I buy locally raised eggs, right? You can buy eggs from farmers at the farmers markets, which are definitely more expensive. But there's some other egg ranches that, yeah, they're not organic, they're not necessarily free range, but they're local, right? Armstrong is one, and they're not that much more expensive. And that's a start. That's a move in the direction, right? Buying something that's made here in San Diego, or raised or grown here in San Diego, is a move in the right direction, right? That's doing better than maybe a large egg farm, right? All these issues that have been coming up this last year from very far away. Eggs is something that we can get here, right? Coffee we can't. Coffee doesn't come from San Diego. We got to get that from far away, but so the idea is you can move in that positive direction. I bought duck eggs for the first time from a farmer. They were really expensive. Like, I know the farmer, right? So he gave me a discount on them, but they're $7 for a dozen. That's a lot. But I was like, I want to try these, right? And what's that? They're a little bit bigger, and he was telling me about them, and I was like, this is my splurge for the week, right? They tasted, as he said, like an improved chicken egg, which I think they were a little bit better. The texture was a little different. They were fuller. They had sort of more dense. I don't know that I'll always buy them. I can't afford that. And eggs are a big source of protein for me because they're cheap. And I end up eating a lot of eggs. So but it's just something to try, right? I did better this week, right? So just think about those decisions when you're shopping. The next point I'm going to get to in a second is the idea of reducing the meat consumption. But part of that can be, well, it doesn't mean you need to stop eating meat. But maybe if your family eats a lot of meat, or you eat a lot of meat, maybe one night a week, I can make a vegetarian night, or try a new recipe night. And it's sort of expanding what's available, right? Trying something different. And that's part of changing habits, is getting out of your comfort zone a little bit. Right? If you want to exercise more, well, you're going to have to get out of your comfort zone, because exercise is hard sometimes. You got to push yourself, right? You got to change a little bit at a time. The one thing that really got me to change my habits a lot was starting to read ingredient labels. This is where when I started reading things that I didn't know what they were, right? And I started looking them up and then found out what they were. And that was the problem. Once I knew what they were, I don't want to put that in my body. Like I don't know, like. And the one thing for me that I've changed a lot is preservatives, unnatural preservatives, like not like vinegar and salt, but things like sodium bimetasulfite. Like do I need to be eating that? Like, is that something that I want to put in me? Like whether or not it's good for the environment, good for health, or whatever, I just don't know that I want to eat that. So that's something that I draw away from when I buy anything that's packaged or canned or jarred or whatever. I really look for that. One thing that I had trouble finding was coconut milk. A lot of coconut milk, almost all coconut milk products have preservatives in them. I found some that were frozen. At Ranch 99 has them, and there's a couple other stores that have frozen blocks of coconut milk that are fresh. And there's a couple brands that don't, that I found at some of the more expensive grocery stores sell, right? But there was something to me that I didn't want to use, right? I didn't want to have those preservatives. So the next point, the idea is the second point, the reducing meat consumption. This was a hard one for me. I really like meat. I mean, meat's delicious. I'm a big carnivore. But meat is delicious, but real meat, non-factory farm meat, is expensive. And there's no way around that. So unless you can afford to buy it, it's really expensive. This was, one way you can do it is buying in bulk, right? If things are on sale sometimes, you can buy a lot of it and freeze it if you have freezer space, and then taking it out piece by piece. I used to do that before factory, before even I knew what factory farm meat knew. I never thought everything came from the farm, right? I used to buy those big bags of frozen chicken breasts. I don't know if anybody, like in college, would buy those, like big bags, and take them out one at a time. And then I remember started eating those, and like, these don't taste that good. These are I kind of feel bad when I eat these. Like, they don't taste very good. So then I started changing and buying when things were on sale, like the big packages, and cutting them all up and freezing them. It takes more time, but for me, it was the money that I saved. You can also buy cheaper cuts of meat and learn how to cook those, which aren't really delicious. You just have to cook them a little bit differently. So with meat, though, it's part of it for me is the flavor. We started the meat that we would sell at the farmers markets on our sandwiches. The steak that we had was grass-fed steak, and some of it was from here in San Diego. It was delicious. I remember we went over, we were helping a friend cater a party at his house, and he had bought these fillets, like really nice fillets of steak with regular factory meat, and we were grilling them up for him for his party, and I was like, I gotta taste this, right? And the flavor was so starkly different. I remember it was like, this is where the realization that I'm a food snob. Like, it was like, I can't go back. Like, the flavor just isn't there for me. And that's, for me, with eating, flavor is paramount. Where stuff comes from is very important. What's in it is very important. But if something tastes good, I mean, Cool Ranch Doritos, man, those taste awesome, right? They have MSG and all this stuff, right? I don't eat them often, but I won't lie that they taste good. Right? And that's something in my brain that says, yes, this tastes delicious. Okay, but then there's other factors that respond with me that why I may or may not buy them. So with meat, it's hard. It takes a real change in your habits, and it's doing it a little bit at a time. Right? Eating a little bit less meat this week than last week. Like I said, making one night vegetarian night. Try that out if you're used to eating a lot of meat. Okay. Any questions? Any questions? Yeah.
There's also meat cooperatives that you can become a part of.
Yeah, and that'll get to similar to like the CSA, and the hard part with those that I found is that it's a lot of money up front, but over the period of time, it is definitely can be a lot cheaper if you buy a lot, if you have a place to freeze it.
Well, also, I think that Costco, their meat is okay too. I just started eating meat again.
Yeah.
I was so freaked out by meat that I just stopped eating it. And a good friend of mine told me that their meat is like, I don't know if it's sustainable or they don't use antibiotics or,
right.
You know, it's like...
And there's all these, so you get into all the different factors of what is okay, like what is not using antibiotics, is that okay, is sustainable, what does sustainable mean, and I don't really know a lot of these things. Like I know when I buy meat from a farmer, I know where it's coming from, but at some point I'm trusting that that farmer is doing what he's saying he's doing, right? And I do. Like you have to trust other people, or you have to do it all yourself, right? So the idea is like, is it good? I don't know, maybe it's better than the 99-cent a pound meat that you're getting somewhere else, like maybe. I don't know, you can ask questions is one good way to find out. You can do research. For me, with meat, was the idea that one reason I stopped eating a lot of factory farm meat was because I used to say, well, I don't know where this meat's coming from. And now I do. I do know where it's coming from, right? And not only where it's coming from, the people that are working in those factories, there's a lot of human rights issues that go along with that. And that's a bigger issue for me. It's beyond the welfare of the animal. It's the people that are working that are being taken advantage of. And that's not something I want to support. But I mean, I love a good California burrito, right? And I've tried making them, and I'm not as good at it as the ones you get from the taco shop. And every now and again, right, I'll go get one. And again, I'm not perfect. And I'm not trying to be perfect. Because when I try to be perfect, I fail every time. And if I try to be 80% of the time do it the way I feel is right, then I feel really good, and then I'm going to succeed, and I am going to be successful. So the third thing is the idea of buying in bulk, right, which you can maybe do through a cooperative with me, or you can do, sometimes you talk to a farmer, right, if there's a vegetable or something you really, really like, it's like, can I buy a whole flat of strawberries, right? They might give you a cut on it, right, on the price per package, right? And then you can freeze them all, right, for the winter. Because that's the other thing when you buy in bulk, you can preserve, you can freeze. Now, some of that requires skill or learning a skill, right? That's changing a habit, right? I don't really can. I've never really canned. And it's a whole process, but you can get canning supplies pretty cheaply. You can get them at yard sales sometimes. Preserving, I haven't done a lot of it. My roommate, this last year, I'll give him the credit, he preserved some green beans and made some kimchi and tried different things. Right? I was just trying it out, and it's actually really good. And now I just, in the fridge, I take one out, two out, and it's nice to have those. And stuff that's saved from that we bought in bulk. With berries and fruit, you can freeze those, and they make awesome smoothies, desserts, whatever you want. So that's a good way. The freezer space can be an issue. With the freezer space, if you can invest in a freezer, a separate freezer, that's good. If not, I find a lot of the stuff in my freezer is stuff that's like half-eaten cartons of ice cream that somebody brought over, right? That I'm not eating, but just happens to be there. And so it's a lot of things that you can actually clear out space, or things that I just threw in the freezer because I didn't want it to go bad, but I'm not really going to eat it. And another idea is I hate throwing away food. I absolutely hate it. It's like one of the biggest things to me. But sometimes you just don't eat something, right? And we compost at the house, so it's like at least I'm putting it back into the ground. You know, I don't feel as bad about it. But you know, I'm not throwing away a lot of food. Like an 80-20, right? I'm not throwing away a ton of stuff. So when buying in bulk, right, there's the idea that, right, you might lose a little bit, right? And sometimes things can get tiring if you're eating the same thing over and over again. But I don't know if anybody's eaten a tomato recently. Like I had a tomato at the house, and it was from further south. It was an organic tomato. It was all right, you know, but it's like it wasn't that good. I mean, it's nothing near like a tomato in like July or August, I mean, just when you buy things that are in season, they taste better because they're supposed to be at that time. They're at the peak, right? So there's a lot more flavor there. So buying things in bulk and in season are going to help with that. And also, when they're in season, there's usually more of it, right? So then it's cheaper, right? And that's the idea. Is like, and then learning how to preserve these things. Maybe it's like the idea of cooking it and then freezing it, which is what we'll get to next. Other things you can buy in bulk, right? I don't even buy flour package, right? I go to the bulk food section, and I bring a plastic bag, sometimes I forget, right? And then I scoop up the flour, and I buy it that way, and I put it into a big jar, an old container or something. It's cheaper. That's why I do it. It's not because it's more sustainable. It's not because of anything. It's cheaper. Right? I can afford to buy organic flour because I can do that. So when I make cookies or whatever I'm making, right, I feel a little bit better about that, knowing that where the source is coming from. So what's that? In bulk, the organic flour, the People's Co-op has it. I would imagine Whole Foods has it, but again, I'm rarely ever in there. So, and it might be even cheaper there. I don't know. Henry's has a lot of stuff in bulk. I get stuff from there. It's not usually organic stuff, but sometimes they have bulk there. North Park Produce has stuff in bulk that I get sometimes from there. So yeah, I find, because the idea is, do you want to pay for packaging and labor, or do you want to pay for food? Because if you're buying in bulk, right? So if you go to buy a frozen pizza, right? Well, that carton, the cardboard that it's in, the thing that it's on, the plastic that it's around, you got to pay for that, and then you got to pay for somebody to put the thing in the plastic and seal it up and put it in the box and seal, right? There's labor involved in that, so that's going to come down the pipe some way. So instead, like, you have a big sack of flour that somebody milled, and then they take it to the grocery store, and then they just put it out, and you're bagging it yourself, right? So you're doing the labor, so it's cheap. That's why it's cheaper. So that's why the grocery store, again, I stay away from all the packaged stuff, because I'm buying packaging and I'm buying marketing, right? You have to pay for somebody to come up with the advertising for all that, right? That's why you don't see coupons for produce, right? Nobody needs to advertise that an apple is healthy, right? Everybody knows that, right? You don't need to put advertising out there. So, so that's the idea, is that, right? I don't want to pay for those things. I want to pay for the food, right? That's honest. Like, I want to pay a farmer for the work that he or she did, right, to grow this food, and maybe pay for the person that brought the food from the farm to the grocery store where I'm buying it now. Pay the grocery store person for having this available, right? Because this is our economy. It's our system, right? I want to pay somebody for value for what they're doing, right? I don't want to pay for the stuff that I don't find value, right? And that's where you save money, by cutting those things out. So the fourth topic, cooking for the week and freezing. This is or preserving somehow. This is, again, changing habits, and can be difficult, especially if you work a lot. But I've got a friend, and she started doing this recently, and she'll spend Sunday 3 or 4 or 5 hours sometimes. She'll even bake bread, in the bread machine, right? You just throw it in and let it go. Making chili, making tomato sauce, making all this stuff, right? Put in little Tupperware containers, or even, I use Ziploc bags a lot, and I actually wash out the bags and reuse them. I haven't bought Ziploc bags in I don't know how long. And actually at the farmer's market, our sandwiches, we'd wrap in foil, and we'd give a napkin. We'd say, hey, we'll take that back. We'll recycle the foil, and we'll compost the napkin. There's one time I gave it to this guy, and I told him that. He said, oh no, I'll keep the foil. He's like, I haven't bought foil in 4 years. He's like, I gotta buy the heavy duty stuff, but I wash it and reuse it. And I'm like, it was like awesome, right? I wash and reuse stuff, because to me, it doesn't make sense to throw something away when it's still good. Right? When the bag rips, okay, then I can throw it away, right? I'm not perfect all the time. Sometimes if it's a really gross bag, right, sometimes I throw that one away, right? I don't feel excited about washing it out completely. But the idea is, if you can cook for that week. So, my friend, I was saying, so then she comes home during the week, and she doesn't have to think about what's for dinner. That stress and that time at the end of the day, I don't have this, I don't have that. You have some fresh stuff, maybe some salad. You make a salad, then you heat up whatever else you've frozen up. But it's hard to switch that, especially, again, if you're busy, you have kids, whatever it's happening. You got to say Sunday or whatever day it is that you have, right? Sit down and cook a bunch. And the idea is to make this sustainable, right? Try it once a month. Try to do that for the, yeah.
I was just saying another great way to do it is crock pot. So
yeah.
If you're busy, just throw it in the morning and there's dinner.
Well, that's good for the cheaper cuts of meat too, because they cook down really, really well, right? So if you're buying a higher quality meat, whether it's grass-fed or local or whatever it happens to be, whatever quality, whatever you can afford, right? If it's the cheaper cuts are going to always be cheaper, so you throw them in the crock pot, man, they're going to be delicious, but they're going to take a while. So the crock pot's good. And that idea is, if you're not a crock pot cooker, crock pots are cheap. You can get them at the thrift store all the time. Like, try it out. Let me try one recipe this way and see how it works, and see how I fit it in scheduling wise into my day, into my week. Because if you try it once and it works, that's proof that it might work more, right? And then maybe your schedule is crazy and you don't do it again for another month. You don't do it for 2 months. Okay, try it again, right? And see. That's how you change habits. It's a little bit at a time. So, right, that idea that it stresses it actually saves time in the long run because you're not having to cook during the week, and that's where you might find the benefit of, hey, I actually have more time during the week when I'm already really busy. Right, my days I can just sit down and actually eat and then get other things done or relax. I don't have to be right around all the time. And then, so the last point is the idea of food. Right, where does it come from? If it comes from your backyard, that's fantastic. Like, that is the ultimate. I don't care if it's you use organic fertilizer or don't use whatever you use. Right, it's coming from your backyard. That's awesome. So grow your own if you can. I'm a terrible gardener. I'm awful. I kill stuff all the time. And I find actually right now I have a couple tomato plants that just started growing in my yard. Like when I wasn't trying to, that's when things grow. When I'm not trying. But you know, be experimental. Try things, they'll die, right? Then they'll come back. Try something else. When I lived in LA, we had a yard and we had a pretty decent sized garden, which was a lot of fun. Just working in it, pulling weeds and doing all that. But then it was also, I remember one time I made a meal almost completely from stuff in my garden that I picked. Good eggplant, right? I had some broccoli, I had some onions, right? I had a lot of herbs, and I mean, I used olive oil and stuff, right? That I obviously didn't grow and crush myself. But it was there was something just really cool about making food from something I grew. There's something more about the experience beyond just eating good tasting food. There's something about that was just really, I don't know, it felt real. I don't know, that's a weird way to say that, but it just felt really cool. I grew all this. But even again, if you just have a tomato plant, man, those tomatoes are so good. I couldn't give them away. I had so many that I was just trying to take them to work, just here, take them, hand them to people on the street, take these tomatoes, right? They're good. But I can only eat so many, right? So, you know, growing your own, you can get seeds are really, really cheap. There's seed exchange over here, right? They're giving away seeds. Seeds are really, really cheap. It just takes more work and time and planning, right? And that's usually the trade-off with money. Is either I can change my own oil. It's cheaper than taking it to the place to get it done, but it's going to take me time. It's going to take me time to learn how to do it. I'm going to have to dispose of the oil, right? There's things like that. So if I can invest the time and energy, then it's going to cost me less money. And something like growing your own food, it takes a lot of time and energy up front. And then during, it's not as much work. You can do a little bit. You can pick a weed here, water a little bit there, and generally most things are going to work out. And some stuff won't. Just try it out. The other thing is the CSA. The cool thing about the CSA is, for me, I always have fresh vegetables in my house. I remember when I was younger, going in the fridge, and what I had in the fridge was an egg, some mustard and ketchup, and there's nothing really appetizing in here to feel like I want to eat. Now I have lettuce. I actually have too much lettuce. I end up composting a lot of lettuce every 2 weeks when I get my box because I just don't eat a lot of it. And so that's the one thing I don't like throwing that away because I paid for it, right? But I always have an option of something healthy and kind of fresh. With the CSA, I had never heard of it before until I moved to San Diego 3.5 years ago, and I got online and when I was looking for farmers markets, somehow CSA popped up. What's this? I never heard of this. This is a cool new thing, right? Of course, it's not new, but it was new to me. And when I started looking into it, I was like, well, this sounds neat. So I signed up for it. I've had it the entire time I've been here, and at varying degrees. But I get it. My roommate and I get it every other week. We pay, I believe it's $25 a box. So that's $12.50 a week. Split between the two of us is $6.25 a week. I'm paying for vegetables. We definitely have to fill in with getting veggies from other places. Sometimes from the store if I'm running out for something, or the farmer's market, or if we're growing something to fill in there. But I mean, that's pretty cheap. The hard part is it's upfront. Right? The same thing with the meat co-op, right? We got to pay a couple $100 every quarter. Some of them are done, I think, differently, right? They're pay-as-you-go kind of thing, or every month. But it's also nice knowing that, okay, I pay it, and and then I don't have to pay until the bill comes right every quarter. Then it's like, oh man, I gotta pay this. But I know I'm getting quality out of it. I'm getting, you know, and it's kind of fun sometimes because you get something I've never had before, and that actually really expanded my understanding of certain vegetables I never cooked before. I never cooked bok choy before. I never cooked kale before. Never cooked collard greens before. Like, these are things that I'm getting. I'm like, all right, I eat a lot of radishes now. I don't even like radishes that much, but I eat them because I have a lot of them. One thing that gets me still are the beets. I get a lot of beets, and I haven't found the way that I like beets, but it's just part of it. I give them away to other people. People that love beets are really happy. So it still works out pretty well. So the CSA has been a really good thing for me, and I've thought about it when we were working at the farmers markets. You get to know the farmers, you get to know everybody, and they end up, oh, we have all this extra stuff they give you, right? So you end up with all these things, and I thought about canceling my CSA. But I decided I still really liked having this weekly thing, knowing it was just the consistency for me of having that. And since we've stopped selling at farmers markets, I don't have that access anymore, so I'm really happy that I didn't cancel that, and I still have that going. So, right, that idea of, do I need to get all my vegetables from a farm, from the farmer's market, or through a CSA? It's like, no. Right? You can go to the grocery store. You can go to the neighborhood grocery store. Right? North Park Produce, they don't have organic vegetables yet. I haven't seen them carry anything. But man, is it cheap. It is cheap, and a lot of this stuff comes from around here and in Mexico. That's pretty local too. And it's, right, the other thing about going to North Park Produce and Peoples that I like is I'm supporting a local business. They're independently owned. I mean, North Park Produce, I think, has two. They have one out in Poway, and maybe there's another one somewhere. Chula Vista, right? So they're, it's the other big grocery, Whole Foods, right? They're doing a lot of good stuff, right? I'm not knocking them at all. I think Whole Foods is a fantastic place. You know, they're a corporation. They're based in Austin, Texas, right? I'm giving money to their corporation, which is fine. I'm not against corporations, but if I can support more local communities, right, more businesses that supporting my community, that's not the main reason I'm going there, but it's a cool benefit for me. I'm going there because they're cheaper, and I go to People's because it has options that I can't get in other places, or certain organic options. So that idea is, yeah, you can go to the grocery store. I go to the little corner produce market by my house in North Park, right, or the little market there, and I'm not buying organic stuff, but I need a couple onions, right? I'm going to get a couple onions from there, and I don't feel bad about it, right? That's the idea. That's not where I go. I don't buy all my groceries there. And I get my vegetables from usually from the farmers, from my CSA. So the idea is, like, all this stuff, right, on here, nothing's groundbreaking. A lot of this stuff you might already be doing. You might already be thinking about. You can find a lot of information on this online. I've just searching around. I've read some articles of people that were trying to live on a food stamp budget for a month or something. It's like, I don't make very much money. I haven't made very much money my entire life. Like, not a lot at all. And I've found a way to make this work for me. How to eat where I care about where my food's coming from, right? And because I care, and I can make these changes a little bit at a time, that's going to affect the system. You can even see organic produce, right? Organic food is becoming more prevalent everywhere, right? Farmers markets are blowing up because there's a demand, right? It's simple. There's a demand for it. I'm demanding it with my money, by talking to you guys, right? You know, by just my business, right? I'm demanding it in a certain way, so the market is responding, and that's what's going to happen. That's how we affect change, is by doing a little bit at a time. It's not a huge change at once. So even people get down on places like Whole Foods because they're a big corporation, right? I take exception to that because I think Whole Foods is affecting change in a positive way. They might not be doing exactly how you or I want them to do it, but they're changing it in the right direction. They're on our team, right? We're all the same way, and so the idea is, like, we're all doing it. We've got to do it how it makes sense for ourselves. If you want links to any of those things, email me. Like, give me a call. Like, I found those articles, I can forward them to you. You can do your own research or just try stuff yourself. Like, you know, again, it's not about being perfect, right? It's about doing better. Maybe I don't cut out factory farm meat, you know, out of my entire diet, but maybe, like, once a month I can go buy some when it's on sale, like the organic or grass-fed or local meat, right? Go to the farmer's market, buy from Meat Farmer, right? They're expensive, totally expensive. But maybe I can afford to do it once, and the flavor is something that you might notice a big difference of, and that might also spur you on to make budget things differently for that or change how you eat. So again, it's not about changing everything, but the idea is you need to start now, right? Tomorrow, next time you go to the grocery store, to say, what can I do better today than I did last week? Right? What can I do different from last month? And then when you start to get down on yourself about like, oh, I'm not perfect, I'm not doing this. How was I doing last year? Right? How was I doing 5 years ago? Right? Have I improved on that? And I think that's really important. It's about focusing on what you're doing right, not what you're doing wrong, what you don't like that what you're doing. Because there's always reasons. You can always find reasons why you can't do something. Right? I don't have enough money. I don't have the time. I can't find it. Right? There's always going to be reasons why you can't. Instead, find reasons why you can. Right? Make excuses to do the right thing. And the right thing is what's right for you. It isn't necessarily what's right for me. It's what's important to you. So that's the extent of the talk. So if there's any questions or about what I've done, or if you want to add anything, I'm happy to throw in here.
Yeah, this isn't a question, but I think that there's like an added benefit that we haven't touched on, which is a health benefit. Because by buying stuff in bulk and not buying preservatives, it's much better for your health.
Right. Well, that's a big part for me, is not just eating more, quote-unquote, sustainably, which is a very flexible term, but it's also healthy, right? I want to eat things that make me feel good. I want to feel good, and part of that is the flavor, right? Like I said, flavor is paramount for me. If it tastes good, I feel better. But, I also want, a lot of times, it tastes good because it's fresher. Thankfully, we're here in Southern California where our growing seasons are really stretched out, so we can get really a lot of access to fresh things year a lot longer in season. Thanks, guys. Again, if you have questions, want to ask anything, I'm hanging around. Feel free to email me, give me a call.